All right, I'm pointing out the sign for the Mill Creek Trail at the intersection of the Middleton Power Line and the Mill Creek Trail. Both the Power Line Trail and the Mill Creek Trail are really service roads, so they'd be considered double track, not single track. The Mill Creek Trail is notoriously sandy. I'm out here on Monday, November 17th, 2025. Over the weekend, we had a bunch of rain, so the sand is wet and firm, which is the perfect conditions to be hiking this or riding it. In the warmth of the summer or just dry conditions, the sand can get really soft and deep. A few years back, I had a crash here because of the soft sand. I was riding in a wheel track, a rut, because that was firmer than riding in the middle of the trail. And there was a bunch of tumbleweeds that had collected in that track, and I tried to ride out of that rut to avoid the tumbleweeds. I was going quite fast, and my wheel just embedded into the soft sand and sent me over the handlebars. Did a belly flop onto the sand and managed to break ribs. If anyone's had broken ribs, it's pretty miserable and takes a long time to heal up. So you saw a hiker runner that we passed. Not too many people out today. There's actually I'm getting off the trail here to allow a service vehicle to pass. It's just a single lane service road, and you can see how soft the sand is there where the vehicle created some pretty deep ruts. There's some places where the trail's a little firmer and it has an old road bed, almost gravel sections. But for the most part, this whole area out here is quite sandy, perfect desert tortoise habitat. Even the area that borders the reserve. So we just crossed a little low spot there, which is another arroyo or wash that can flow in rainy times. And we'll be coming up to the Mill Creek Trailhead. There's a parking lot there and a locked gate. That gate allows the service vehicles to come back here. But there's a step over little access gate that equestrians can negotiate, and bikers and hikers. A skilled biker can probably bunny hop over this gate, but I don't have those skills, so I have to lift my bike up and over. So now we're outside the reserve, still on the Mill Creek Road, or sometimes called Main Street. because this was a direct shot right into the city of Washington. This sandy dirt section of road ends at the intersection with Washington Parkway. Washington Parkway is a fairly new road put in, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago. And Washington Parkway will eventually connect to the proposed Northern Corridor, which is a 4-lane highway that they want to put through the Desert Reserve. So Washington Parkway essentially just dead ends at the boundary of the reserve at this point, waiting for whatever the future holds in store for the concept of the Northern Corridor. So off to my left is a brand new subdivision just in the last year or so called Solente. This area outside the reserve was a hodgepodge of mostly public land. Various agencies owned different sections. State, federal, city, county. Some of it's what's called school trust land. And the city sold a portion to a developer, and that is what is happening right there to my left. It's a development called Solente. The agreement for allowing that to happen was that they put in a paved bike trail from Solente up to the Grapevine Trailhead, which is now a fancy major trailhead near the intersection of Washington Parkway and Interstate 15, exit 13. So there's the paved brand new bike trail. I'm just going to head right back up the Mill Creek Trail. So they had to do a little diversion for vehicles to get up here to access the Mill Creek Trailhead and the Dino Cliffs Trailhead. These mesquite bushes present a formidable challenge to my little puppy, my flying camera. So in the summer months, a lot of visitors will come up here and get stuck in the sand. They may have flown into St. George or Salt Lake or even Las Vegas and rented a vehicle, and they'll explore this area, check out the Elephant Arch Trail or the Dino Cliffs Trail. And sometimes the navigation software, their GPS software, will route them on one of these little side roads, which can be really sandy, worse than the Mill Creek Road, and they'll get stuck. There's a local off-road recovery service, Matt's Off-Road Recovery, that has rescued a lot of people out here. He has a very popular YouTube channel, if you're interested in that. For a while, he seemed to be always pulling some rented Dodge Charger or Dodge Challenger out of the sand up here. Yeah, a low clearance vehicle like that is probably not the best choice to be driving up here. If you stay on this main road, you're probably okay. But if you go a little too far off to park or take one of those side roads, you can get into deep trouble. So I'm not going to go back into the reserve. I'm staying outside the reserve. The reserve boundary is that fence off to my right. I'm going down one of the four-wheeler trails here. This trail is sometimes the way I get up to the Mill Creek trailhead without having to ride too much on the streets. I don't like riding bicycles on the streets. And it can get, this little trail here, I don't know if it's got a name, but it can get really sandy and can be a real challenge, and sometimes I end up having to push my bike up sections of it. Yeah, I think my camera crashed into one of these bushes along here also. Because the sand is wet and kind of bonded together, it is easier to ride, and my little camera didn't get all full of sand when it did crash. So we're going to be dropping down right back into the Mill Creek wash or arroyo, and it flows right below that subdivision there. And probably over the weekend, this past weekend, there was probably water flowing in it. You can see where some four-wheelers were having fun riding around in circles around that little center bush. Now as we head down here, you can see some wet spots, but we'll actually cross Mill Creek, cross the wash, the arroyo, and you can see the results of runoff of water flowing. A lot of erosion and damage was done back in the first part of October when we had record rainfall here. So here's the wash, drop into it, and then we gotta climb back out of it. So we're gonna climb up the embankment up to Washington Parkway. And the proposed northern corridor will be connecting to Washington Parkway. Right now, Washington Parkway is just 2 lanes, but I guess the plan is for 4 lanes. I think there's room for 4 lanes. So that's it. This is Washington Parkway, and riding in November.